Our personal experiences not only have the power to refine us into the persons we were created to be, but our personal experiences also have the potential to impact and change the lives of others. Many people believe that there is nothing much they can contribute to this world. They struggle to find the value attached to their mere existence. However, truth be told, every day, every hour, every minute, every second we are alive is fabricated into each chapter of our life's journey. Woven into each of our stories are experiences beyond our control, seasons of celebrations, new beginnings, necessary endings, and life-changing lessons. In this season, I'll be speaking with persons from the realms of education, love, faith, business, and relationship to dive into how they have turned their challenges and experiences into refining moments. Welcome to the Nijerie Journey podcast, where our conversations enrich, encourage, and empower others. I'm your host, Katharina Carbon. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nijerie Journey podcast. Joining us today, we have Nijerie Marlin, 29-year-old daughter of the soil. She's a mother to the most amazing and energetic 4-year-old son.
That's right.
Believer. She loves to read. She's a member of the United Women's Book Club.
Correct.
Designer and entrepreneur. Airbnb host and trader. Wow. 29 years old and doing pretty good for yourself, Nijerie.
Thanks, girl. I'm trying.
Thank you for being here with us today. It's certainly a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So, how long have you been a member of the United Women's Book Club?
How long have I been a member? I think is like about 3 years now.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2 years. I really can't remember, you know. It's a while.
It's a while.
Yeah.
And you know, time goes by so quickly. So
Exactly. I here trying to think when I joined. I want to say it's 2 going on 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 going on 3 years.
Awesome.
I love my book club so much. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you're also a designer. So what do you design? Like clothes, graphics?
So clothes, not yet.
Okay.
That's in the works though. But like graphics. So
Okay.
I make like business cards. I
Nice.
do brochures.
Yeah.
I do flyers, posters,
Wow.
invitations. You know, all kind of stuff. I love designing.
Wow. So you
Yeah.
dabble here and there. And plus entrepreneur, Airbnb host, and trader. So it's like
Yeah.
stock trader or like
Yeah. So like a foreign exchange
Foreign
trader.
exchange.
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah. It's a lot.
I know I gotta.
We gotta work hard while we're young, right?
No, I feel you.
I ain't trying to do this in the next 10 years, you understand? So I have to do it now.
I know you create that multiple streams of income from an early
Correct.
age, so you make
Correct.
sure that you set yourself up. I don't blame you at all.
Correct.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So tell us something interesting about yourself that not most people would know.
Something interesting about myself. Well, actually, the designing is something that a lot of people don't really know.
Oh, wow.
You know, it was something that I always used to do from a very young age. My dad recognized it, and he have this company that he had with his business partner, and
Yeah.
they gave me my very first job where I had to design like a little magazine for them.
Yeah.
And they paid me $500. I was like, what?
Motivation. Talk about motivation.
I could get paid to do this. So since then I've always been interested in designing. You know, I would make their brochures for them, their business cards, but people wouldn't really know that I was doing these things because
Yeah.
it wasn't something that I really advertised.
Gotcha.
And then when I joined my Toastmasters club, I was over the PR.
Yeah.
And I would make like flyers and newsletters and so, and then a lot of people were like, hey, like this stuff is really good, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started doing things for my own son, like for his birthdays or
Yeah.
anything that he has. I'm very creative, like very hands-on, and
Nice,
like that kind of
nice,
stuff. So
nice.
now people like, you know, starting to know.
Yeah.
It's still not something that I advertise heavily though, because to be honest, I don't have the time for it. But even with my work now, like I do a lot of design work,
Okay.
and it's just something that I do to like unspun, to relax.
Yeah,
so I don't
yeah.
know if I would want to do it like as a job.
Gotcha.
It's something that I enjoy doing. Like I could just put on some music and
Yeah.
just get behind a computer and get lost, you know, doing
Yeah,
it. So
yeah.
yeah, that's That's something that a lot of people really don't know.
Well, now they know, so you might just be
Now they
surprised
know.
at how many people hit you up every now
Well,
and
we'll
again.
see. We'll see.
And you just never know where it's gonna lead from there.
That's very
You
true.
just
That
never
is
know.
very true. That is
Never
very
know.
true. I don't want to like block it because maybe it's something that I supposed to be doing.
Correct.
But for now I enjoy just doing it for fun.
For fun.
Yeah.
All right, no problem, man. No problem. And what is something people tend to misunderstand about you?
I think people misunderstand the fact that I don't take things personally. So, for example, and I don't even know where to start with this. Okay, so for example, let's say somebody did you wrong, right?
Yeah.
Now everybody would expect you like, oh, you gotta hate this person, you gotta like,
Yeah.
But for me, and it took me a while to get to that understanding that sometimes when people do things, not sometimes, all of the time when people do things, it has more to do with them than it have to do with me.
True.
So I read this book, The Four Agreements, and I just kind of like live by that book now. The second agreement is don't take things personally, and I feel like that free me from so many things because like you're holding on to anger, you're holding on to hate, and it don't even have nothing to do with me,
True.
Like it have to do with them. Like they have a problem. So that's
yeah.
why they're projecting their problems on me. But if I go and take that personally, now I taking on somebody else's problem,
Correct.
So I would always tell my friends, which is why I'm so careful in the friends I choose now too. You don't want people to be hyping you up for the wrong thing. Like why you still talking to she, or why you still talking to he? You don't need that energy,
Yeah.
It is what it is. It happened. I'm gonna pray about it. I'm gonna leave it to God, but I'm not going to take on other people's problems,
True.
I got a whole child to take care of, and so
whole
much things,
child, and so many streams of income that you want to develop.
so many other things that I want to do. So for me, it's like, why take on and entertain that, that negativity? So I just learn not to take things personally. Granted, sometimes it's very hard.
True.
Sometimes it's very, very hard, For example, like when you go inside a government building and people giving you attitude for no reason, like, or to the bank or wherever you're going, you just get bad customer service.
Yeah.
And it's just like, God, please, like, just
no, I understand.
Fix it, Jesus. Fix it, because, so I don't take things personal.
And I think that's a really good trait because that can just be added stress.
Exactly.
Added stress that you really and truly don't want. And sometimes we tend to make like assumptions about it, like the place that it may be coming from, where it could just literally be a misunderstanding on the person's part too. So it's like, you know what? Why really and truly take it personally?
Yeah.
I got
For
you.
me, if somebody have a problem, I expect them to say it with their mouth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to assume that you have a
Exactly.
problem with me based on your behavior.
Exactly.
If you have a problem, say something.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And what's your view on co-parenting? Because I know you briefly mentioned that before, that you currently co-parent. So what's your view on it, and what do you think it takes for co-parenting to be successful?
It takes a lot of grace and a lot of understanding, I feel like that also ties back into the not taking things personally. I hear so many stories, like horror stories about co-parenting, but it really ain't as bad as some people just make it seem, in my opinion, I understand in some situations people go through things happen, but at the end of the day, if you have a child, both of you have one common goal. So whatever you have to do to make sure that this one common goal is met, like all the needs are met, everything is taken care of, I feel like you just need to put everything aside and deal with that, you know?
Correct.
For this person to be the most fruitful, most, like, you just want to shape them to be the best person that they can be, You don't want to raise hooligans in this society, I think then most people would want for their children or their child to be a upstanding citizen in the community. So it's just about putting your differences aside and dealing with that, But I think that putting the differences aside is the most difficult part for most people,
Yeah.
If you hurt, you hurt. If you
And you can't help it because you're human, so of course you're gonna feel hurt.
Exactly. But for me, it's very important to not project that or to not involve children in that, because they don't have nothing to do with that. They didn't ask to be here. That was our own decision. So now you make your bed, you gotta lie in it, right? Yeah. So I think co-parenting can be easy if people learn to put differences aside, but I don't underestimate when it's tough either, you know, because everybody's situation is different.
Yeah.
My situation is just, I know, a lot different from the typical, you know, me and my son, dad, we don't have any like anger or hate or like bitter, at least not on my part. I could only speak on my behalf. I could only speak on my behalf, but
Yeah.
we don't have that, you know, so I think that makes it easier to communicate and just make sure that Naim is taken care of all the time, you know. Yeah, so
Beautiful. So it's about just putting him first.
exactly, that's
Just
it.
putting him first.
That's it, you know. And I also just pray on the situation a lot too, you know, because sometimes I do get angry. Look, everybody have different ways that they want to parent, you know.
Yeah.
I don't believe that any couple don't have any differences where raising children is concerned, because all of us was raised differently. So you want to take maybe certain things from how you was raised, you would want to instill, in certain things you would never want to repeat or do.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all about finding the common ground and compromise, you know, because I feel like raising kids is an experiment. You will never know if you do good till you're done, huh? Like, I might think that I being the best mother to Naeem right now, and maybe some of the things that I doing is detrimental, but I wouldn't know now, you know. So yeah, it's like a science project.
But you know, at least you are trying your best at it. Like
Yes,
you're giving it
exactly.
100%.
Exactly. That's all we could do, is our best, and then wait and see what happens. Yeah.
But I do think from, you know, our short conversations before we started the podcast and also going through it with you, I do think that at this point you're doing a pretty good job, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You know, when people say that, I just be like, bye, thanks, because it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy, you know. And this new generation is so scary, right? Like when you see the things that has been happening in high school, that has been happening in classrooms, like you can't hold your child hand everywhere they go, you know, like you just gotta pray and send them with God and be like, I hope that everything go good, you know. Yeah, this generation is scary, so it's scary raising kids. I believe that he gonna be all right.
Oh yeah. I mean, once you say you commit him and you put him in God's hands and you see God for that guidance, he's gonna be all right.
Correct.
He's gonna be all right.
Yeah, I think so too.
And tell me about the 3 most influential people in your life and how have they impacted you?
The 3 most influential people in my life. My dad, he was very influential in my life, and you know, is kind of a pity because I never realized how much until after he passed away. You know, my father was always so optimistic and very ambitious, like ambitious, like ambition through the roof. It was crazy. And every time I think about it, like him and all his siblings was brought up like that, you know. My grandfather was the same way too. All of them very ambitious, business minded people, like they don't stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing and a bad thing, you know. I feel like you need to have some sort of balance. But my father, I feel like watching him be that way kind of influenced the way that I am today. You know?
I was gonna say that, you know. I was waiting for you to.
I feel like it really shaped me, and it's my mother who brought that to my attention, because me, I a risk taker. I believe in taking risks, right?
Yeah.
Where business, where everything is concerned. 'Cause I like, if we play life safe, I don't feel like we was meant to play life safely. Like, let me just stay in this corner and not do nothing, so nothing don't happen. You know, no. Like, and my mother is not the type of person to take risks. So anytime she see me like getting involved in anything, she just be like, "Boy, you really your father child," you know? Because he was that kind of person, you know. So I feel like that the way he was kind of indirectly influenced me and the way that I live in my life today, you know. And I'd never really paid attention to it until my mother brought it to my attention. I was like, hey, for real, like, I am nothing different. I'm not different from him, you know? So he's one.
Okay.
My mom also influenced me. She's very influential in my life. You know, me and my mom have our differences. We just see things differently a lot, but I always admire her for, her name is Grace, and I find she's very graceful, you know.
Yeah, she's living up to that identity, that calling that she has.
Exactly. She's a very graceful lady. She's very elegant. She always carries herself. So, like, sometimes when we going on the road together, I just be like, Ma, I don't even want to walk next to you because she just like so well kept, you know. Me, I would like just run or go on the road quick, come back, do what I have to do. I ain't gonna really comb my hair or not. But my mother is like so like, and I pray that one day I can be like that. You know, one day God gonna do it. I know how he gonna do it, but one day I gonna be like that, you know, more like so graceful, so like elegant all the time. I think that's a wonderful trait, and I know she does pray for me to have it all the time. I know it. And who can I say was the third most influential person? Let me think. I feel like I had a teacher. I had a teacher. When I was going to MPC, he taught me to stand up for myself. Yeah, this is something that my parents always used to instill in me too. But with this teacher in particular, it was a Nijerie Marlin. He in particular would always fight extra hard for his students, you know, because sometimes a lot of unjust things used to happen in school, and you know, people just sweeping it under the rug, but that don't make it okay. And he always, and I felt like the things that he used to tell us and teach us, because he was our mentor, and the things that he used to tell us and teach us kind of carried me through my time while I was in Holland too, you know, when I would face adversity in college, when I would be going through difficult situations. So I think he was a very influential person in my life too, you know. And if I could add a person,
for sure.
I would also say Naeem. Because since he come on the scene, like I feel like I have like an extra reason, you know, like an extra purpose. So he does influence me to a lot. I feel like if I didn't have him, I probably wouldn't be like, I would be like a little more lax, you know, like a little more relaxed. Like I ain't got nothing to take care of, nobody to worry about, you know.
And you're very young still, so it's like, you know.
Exactly. So I would throw Naeem in the mix too.
A little Naeem. He's gonna hear his name call him mommy, call my name.
Yes.
But no, that's wonderful. And in terms of your dad, how has losing him impacted you?
Boy, losing my dad has where do I start? Okay, so it was very unexpected. I remember clearly I was living in Holland at that time with my son dad. And I got a phone call. I think it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. My phone wasn't even working at that time, so they had to call his phone. And I like, why is my mother calling this phone this hour of the morning, you know? And then she called me to tell me the news. Like I could hear in her voice that something was wrong. So now I immediately thought of my grandmother, because my grandmother was sick for a very long time, you know, with a bunch of different health challenges. But then I keep hearing her saying my dad, and I like my father. I like, what happened? He get in an accident, like something happened. And they told me the news, and I think for like the first couple of weeks or maybe months even, I should say, I was just like in shock. You know, like I feel like I wasn't really processing what happened. It happened on the 20th of December. That was 2015 in the evening. It was late in the night in St. Martin, early in the morning in Holland. When they called and they gave me the news. And I had to come home, of course, you know. And it's so funny because that year, everybody keep asking my dad, like, your daughter ain't coming for Christmas, your daughter? And he keep telling everybody, yeah, she coming. And I was like, no, I'm not coming. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, look at how I end up here for Christmas. And that wasn't even, you know, plan. He telling everybody I coming, and I'm not coming, daddy. Like, what are you talking about? And it's so funny, you know, because the same day that he passed, I spoke to him that morning. We spoke good, you know. It was good. He was on the phone for a while. He was going on the road with my mother. They was doing Christmas shopping and cleaning and the whole, because he does usually decorate the house and do the whole 9 yards, you know. So that came really left. I came to St. Martin for his funeral. When I came to St. Martin, you know, like, he's so busy because you have so much arrangements. You got this to do, you got that to do. So you kind of occupies, you can't really process what happening. You understand? The funeral happened, and it almost was like a blur because the doctor gave us sedatives. The doctor was like, take half a pill, I take 2 pills, because I was like just just in case. And
Yeah.
I feel like the whole funeral was a blur because I was sad. It was a lot. It was a lot happening.
I could only imagine.
Yeah. And then I went back to Holland. When I went back to Holland, I came back to St. Martin like 3 months after, because my mom was going through it too. It was unexpected for everybody because my father was a very healthy person,
Correct.
but heart problems running my family. It was a whole thing with his heart. And I came back to St. Martin, and when I came back to St. Martin, I decided I coming back to live.
Yeah.
So I came for the funeral. I went back to Holland. I came back to St. Martin. Then I went back to Holland again, and then I come back to St. Martin. So it was a whole lot of back and forth. Yeah. And since his passing, I keep saying like I have to go to therapy to kind of like process everything. And I keep saying I'm gonna go, but I never really went. And then I would see certain things that would happen where I realized I would be triggered, right? Like triggered. Like I remember me and my son dad, we went to a party at time, a sweet 16 from one of his cousins.
Yeah.
And they had like a daddy daughter dance, and I started to
Wow.
ball. And the thing is I didn't even see it coming, so
Yeah.
it was a mess. And I was like, boy, Nikki, you really need to go to therapy, And I still didn't go. So, and then just recently here, I went to a wedding in December. And there was this daddy-daughter dance. There was two daddy-daughter dances because it was a dad and a stepdad.
Okay.
So the first dance, it was good. I was like, wow, like, I handled that really well, right?
Yeah.
Then the second dance, the bride was dancing on her father's feet. And I used to dance on my father's feet when I was younger. We always used to dance. He was my dance partner. Like we always would go out. We would always dance.
Yeah.
So that's why that trigger was so like, thing for me. And when she started to dance on her father's feet, I was crying and I didn't even know that I was crying. Is the people like on the table?
Yeah.
I see like, they start watching, and then I was like, oh. Then I start to feel no, and then I was like, no, Nikki, you really need to go to therapy because like that was in December, that just gone. So that was like 5 years later, 6 years later. And I was like, you're still triggered? Clearly you have a problem. Maybe you need to speak to somebody. So it's so funny because I'm about to start therapy on Tuesday. So I'm really looking forward to that, because I feel like it's a lot of things that I didn't really deal with or process. That I was kind of like just trying to hide under work, hide under like just keeping myself busy. That I don't have to deal with it, that I don't have to face it. So I just keeping myself going all the time, So I think I'm ready to deal with it now.
Yeah.
Even though it's like a long time later, but I'm ready to deal with it now, and I'm really looking forward to the sessions, because it's been a process. After he passed, so I kind of like pushed all my friends away from me because I felt like everywhere I go, people always like pitying you, and that used to irritate me. That like everywhere you go, people watching you like you're glass, like you're about to break any second, or they treating you so fragile, and I didn't like that. So I just like push everybody away from me. I wasn't talking to my friends. I wasn't talking to nobody. I wasn't, So, but I come a long way now.
Yeah.
And my friends understand too, after I explain them about everything. So I ready to like deal with the situation head on now, and just, I know it's not something I'm going to ever heal from or get over, but I'm going to learn to deal with it better and learn to like handle my triggers better as well,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to therapy.
No, it's as I was hearing you say it, I think a lot of times when different situations happen to us as humans, instead of us confronting it or dealing with it head on, sometimes we tend to work. As you said, we tend to find other coping mechanisms in other ways instead of really dealing with the root cause and dealing with the issue. And sometimes what we don't realize is that it just doesn't go away
Exactly
like that until we intentionally, and I think that is something that you came to the point of realizing that I have to intentionally do something in terms of, being able to at least have something else to cope. Because the things that you said you were doing, like, trying to be busy and stuff, you realize, okay, that wasn't really
working.
It wasn't working. It was almost like something trying to mask.
Correct.
Mask that hurt or that pain instead of really saying, okay, hey, you know what? let me take this step head on and try to deal with it. And I think probably sometimes with different situations, the things that we go through, it could be maybe the fact that we don't want to confront it because of how much it may hurt. You know, as human beings, how much it may hurt, or like the memories or different things that tied to it. But the mere fact that you want to intentionally deal with it, I think that's a great step. That's a great step.
Yeah, boy, I think I have to at this point. You know, like how long you gonna run from it. What I realized too, though, is talking about the situation helps a lot too. You know, so like with my friends, for example, I have one friend in particular because she's going through like a kind of similar situation now, where I had to speak to her about the situation with my dad a lot. Like I could really say how I feel, and I realize, and speaking about it makes me feel better. You know, so like all these years, I wouldn't say anything about it. Like people would ask, you know, questions, and I would just shun it. I would like close the conversation. I don't want to talk about it, but now I'm so much more open, you know, like I'd talk to anybody that asks me about it, because when I talk about it, I feel better. So I feel like that's some kind of healing too, you know, that I could express how I feel, or, you know, how it hurt, or because I know it's gonna always hurt. That is, it's gonna always hurt, but it's just being able to I don't know if sharing with other people, I don't know what it is do. It is just make me feel a little better. Yeah.
Feel better.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's your process too as well. I think sometimes, you know, people would say different things when certain situations happen in individuals' lives because they have a certain expectation, not realizing that everyone is different. Everyone process things differently. Everyone may need more time. Everyone may need less time. So it's, you know, us as human beings also just being sensitive, you know, to people too as well, just to be a little bit more sensitive to individuals would actually help others too as well.
I agree. I agree with you.
And I know also too, something that you mentioned was that you recently decided to become a Christian or rededicate your life to Christ or become a believer.
Yeah. So that's all.
Yeah, tell me about that. Like how recent and what was the turning point for you?
Okay. Last year, January 4th, 2021. Yeah, we're in 22. Okay. Yeah. I was watching this conference online from this belief coach. His name is David Imonitie. I was watching it. He just talk about believing and, you know, eliminating doubt and unbelief in order for you to be able to, like, you know. And he was talking about God in a way that I never really hear anybody speak about it before. That was interesting to me. And after his convention, I was like, I need to find a good church. And it's so funny because I actually had that written in my goals from the beginning of the year. So the end of 2020, I had to write a list of stuff. On the top of my list was to find a good church, find a good community, and to you know, to just reconnect my relationship with God, because it was like just you know, it was just like yeah. So I was taking part in that convention. It was virtually. And after that, I was like, no, I need to find a good church. My sister-in-law, she goes to this church. She was going to this church at that point in time. And I tell her, you know, I gonna start church hopping. I'm gonna start with your church. So I'm gonna come there next week Sunday. So I went to her church, and the hop stopped there. I went nowhere else after. Yeah, I didn't get to church hop because I just felt so comfortable there. And the pastor prayed for me that day. I just always pick up my pastor all the time. I love him to death. My pastor is Pastor Rolando Toulon. And I, you know, I just thank God for him all the time. I went there and he prayed for me. And after he prayed for me, I was like, I ain't going back, even though I didn't like the church so much, right?
Why? Was it like what was wrong with the prayer? Like
nothing was wrong with the prayer. It's the fact that he was like bringing up so many things in my life that was so true. And I just was like, I don't want all in my business. I'm not coming back. Yeah. So I didn't go the week after, but then the week after that, I was like, okay, let me go back now, you know? And ever since then, I've been going. And then he asked me if I would want to be baptized. And I was like, yes. Like, I didn't even think about it, you know? I was like, yeah, I want to get baptized. So I got baptized last year. That was the 28th of February. And it's been a journey. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. I don't even know, like, how to, like, elaborate more. It's just been a lot of highs and lows, more highs than lows.
Yeah.
And a lot of learning, unlearning, and relearning.
I was gonna tell you that, yeah. Unlearning and
a lot of
relearning.
unlearning and relearning. So and my pastors keep me encouraged all the time, and I think that's what kind of kept me there, because I grew up going to the Methodist church. No
Okay.
shade to any other church. I don't want to be misconstrued, but I never liked going to church, like, at all. My mother would force me to go, and I always used to tell her,
What
when
was it? Was it like
18,
you didn't the music or the service was too long? Like, what was it?
I don't even care how long service is. Huh? If it's interesting, I gonna be involved,
Yeah.
But if I going to church and I leaving more sleepy than when I come, that's a problem. That's a problem. I don't want to be here,
Yeah.
And then they play music with an organ, which kind of like funeral vibes. I don't know. I just did not like going to church with my mother, and I keep telling her, when I'm 18, I don't have to go to church with you no more, because now I'm old enough to make my own decisions, right? And then I went Holland to study. Went to Holland to study, and they had this church that me and my cousins went to in Holland. And I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
And I tell my mother, but I never know people could have fun at church. I never knew.
Wow.
I was like, I never noticed. So then I was going to church regularly up there for a while. And then after, I stopped up there too. So that's why now I was like, I was on a mission to find a church. I was like, I want to have that same feeling that I had when I went to the church in Holland, because I had really really like it there. Yeah. The Methodist church was not it for me.
For you.
For everybody have their own thing. For me, it was not it. So and my pastor, he does like the whole church actually. They does like, again, I don't want to be misunderstood, but they just like look out for you, like if you don't show up, they're gonna call you and be like, hey, everything okay? We miss you today, so we just want,
Yeah.
And for me, that makes you feel like wanted, like, whoa, these people.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that.
Yeah, so that it was a different vibe for me. When I don't come church by the Methodist church, nobody looking for you. You just don't show up. You come back next week. Oh, nice to see you. But yeah, it's just different. The community is different. The fellowship is different. Like, everything is just different. And I really like it there. Like, I just look forward to going to church every Sunday. I never used to have that before. So I like that I have that, like, that burning, desire to want to be there, rather than feeling like you're forcing yourself to do something, like it's a chore that you're checking off your list, Yeah, so yeah, that's
and it should never be a chore for you, like, as a believer. You said it so well. Like, as a believer, it should never be like a chore or somewhere that you don't
Exactly.
want to be, because one thing about God, like, if his presence is supposed to be felt, it's supposed to be warm and
Correct.
welcoming and inviting, and somewhere that you always want to linger, somewhere that you always want to stay. And the mere fact that you said it's having a community that are able to look out for you. Like, the mere
Correct.
fact, if they miss you, it's like, hey, what is going on? And it shows that you're not alone.
correct.
It shows that you are not alone, that there are others who care for you, who long to see you, who cares about your well-being.
Correct.
And that is so important. Not-
And my son too.
and your son
Because
too.
Naeem does be turning up the church inside, yeah. He'd be turning up the Sunday school. Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
So what he be doing? Like, teaching the other kids, sharing his stuff? Like,
He'd be dancing, singing, painting, whatever it is they're doing that day. He is, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you also said something about it has been a journey. And girl, I'm gonna tell you, it will be forever a journey.
Yes.
Because, oftentimes a misconception that some people may have is that they feel, once you're a believer or you're within the faith, that everything is smooth sailing.
Yeah, no, that's a lie from the pits of hell.
No, everything would not be smooth sailing.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Don't get it wrong and twisted. You're gonna have your moments of challenges still. You're gonna have the testings, you're gonna have the trials, as you said, the highs and the lows, and they won't go away. They would be there, but it's as we mature in our faith and stick to it, is where we realize more and more we need to rely on God, and
Correct.
he just reveals himself in so many different ways. So for you to say it's a journey, it's gonna be a forever journey.
Yes.
It's gonna be a forever journey, but it's gonna be a well worth it and a beautiful journey too as well.
Yeah, I think so too, And like, sometimes, I don't know, I feel like everybody in their own timing. I can't convince anybody of anything. But I have some people who would be like, why you feel like you have to go to church, For me personally, I need community. It's not that I want it, I need it. I
Yeah.
know that I need it. I know that I need to be around these kind of people, because if I'm not, I know what could potentially happen as well. You understand? Maybe for some people, they
Yeah.
don't need it, or they feel they don't need it, that's fine. But I think having a church community is so important. I feel like it's so important. Like, you can't do this by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. I don't
true.
care how much you feel you could do it by yourself, but you need to have that community.
That community.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
Thank you for sharing that. So, other people would know that it's important. And sometimes if we just, give it a try, and as you said, it's about finding that place to where you feel you
Comfortable.
belong.
Correct.
Because there are so many different churches, so many different denominations, but it's really and truly finding that place where you belong, because then it makes serving so much easier.
Yes.
It makes serving easier. It makes going back every week much more easier. And it shows like, hey, you know what, God, where do you want to use me in this place? You know?
Correct.
So
Correct.
stick at it. Stick at it, my dear.
For
Stick at
sure,
it.
for sure, for sure, for sure.
And if you could write a book or be remembered for something, what would it be?
What I would want to be remembered for is always wanting or willing to help, you know? I would love to be a philanthropist. I ain't reached that level yet. But I always want to help people, and I always eager to serve too, in any capacity, whether it's at my job, whether it's at church, whether it's for Naeem, whether it's for my mom, for my family, anybody, like anything that I could help with, I always want to help. Yeah, because I feel like we can't get through this life by ourselves. Everybody need help, but some people don't like to ask for help, So I just also like try to find ways where I could help people without them having to ask. Like if I see them struggling in an area, maybe just offering to see if they're gonna take your offer,
Correct.
because some people not comfortable asking for help either, So I would want to be remembered for helping people.
And I like how you said that just being able to offer help, because sometimes it may be something that we see happening with someone, or something that we may sense too as well, and it's like, I don't want to, but just offering it might be like, wow, that really made a difference in a person's life.
Correct.
And I just love it. I just love it.
Yeah. So that's what I would want to be remembered.
Awesome. And if you could give one word of advice or encouragement to someone that is your age or just beginning their faith journey or anything to that effect, what encouragement or advice would you give them?
Stick with it. I feel like especially like with a faith journey, like if you're becoming a Christian, I feel like the enemy does come at you real hard, right? Like so hard that you're gonna be like, I shouldn't do this, that kind of way. So just sticking with it, because I feel like these things has also build your faith, I last year I went through like a lot of tests. I went through a lot of trials. I went through a lot of things, and I keep asking God, like, why? Like, why would you do that? I just come back to you. Why would you do that? Until my pastor actually is who break it down for me. He like, sometimes it's gonna get harder before you get easier, like these things just happen to like deter you. So just stick with it. Yeah, that's my word of encouragement. Stick with it.
Awesome. And someone too as well who may be young and have all these ideas and ambitions and want to achieve and so forth, what advice would you give them?
Whatever advice I give them, I'd have to give myself as well. Because God knows, I know fear is something that has paralyzed a lot of people.
Yeah.
So many great and amazing ideas in the burial ground, because people was scared of like being able to start something or do something. Myself included. I'm not there though, so I still have the time to do it.
Yeah.
But just stepping out on faith. No to self, Nikki. Step out on faith. And to everybody else. Just step out on faith. I feel like any idea, anything that we have, we should pray on it. Ask for guidance. But sometimes you also need to make the first step. Correct. So that you know what you have to do next, like it's going to come, but you just have to make the step, be bold enough. Yeah,
That
or
is the
be
best.
paralyzed in fear for the rest of your life and don't do nothing and just be mediocre. And God didn't put us on this earth to be mediocre. So,
I definitely agree. I definitely
yeah,
agree. You
yeah,
know, within every one of us, there is something great, something that the world needs, something that we can give back in one way or the other. You know, sometimes I think that people tend to think that what may be in their heart, if they compare it to what others are doing or others' ideas, they tend to shun it and they may feel like, oh, this is not good enough,
correct,
or this is not worthwhile going achieving, or it's not risky enough or big enough. And little do they know that God doesn't always show individuals the whole picture.
correct,
You know, because then if he shows you the whole picture, there may be some lessons that you may miss that you need to learn. There may be certain things that you may not do or not say when actually those things are needed that may lead to someone else's growth and so forth. But everyone's giftings, everyone's talents, everyone's, you know, desires, it does matter. Like, you know,
yeah,
if individuals would kind of not try to compare with others or not look at others and, you know, try to zone in and focus on that inclination or that leading of the Holy Spirit, they're gonna be in amazement too as to the places God may take them. As you said, it just
exactly,
takes starting, stepping out on faith,
correct,
and it just takes, you know, that belief in knowing that, hey, God, although I may not understand or see it at this point in time, I do believe that there's purpose for it.
correct.
You know, we should never despise small beginnings.
Beginnings, yes,
You know, small beginning, large beginnings, and they come in so many different shapes and forms for individuals that we just need to be able to try and zone in, stay focused, stay rooted, stay grounded, and allow, you know, the God just to move and flow in us and through us, each individually,
correct.
you
I
know?
couldn't agree with you more. And what you said there, like to not despise small beginnings, I think a lot of times we just find ourselves comparing our level 1 to somebody else level 10, forgetting
Thank
that they
you.
also started
Exactly.
small. But
Exactly.
because you're seeing where they are now, you feel like you have to start there, but we can't start there.
I
That's a
agree.
note to myself. So
That's a note to
yeah.
all of us. Sometimes we
Yeah.
need that, you know,
Yeah.
we definitely need those reminders just to ease some pressure off of us too as well.
Correct.
Like, you know, this unnecessary pressure that we place on ourselves to feel like we have to get it right in the first stages, or there has to be perfection. Perfection is too heavy
Yeah,
to
boy.
carry around.
Yeah,
Like, and
boy.
for me, sometimes, not sometimes, for me, perfection doesn't really exist from a certain perspective and angle. It's all about progression, all about moving forward,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
But I want to say once again, thank you, Nikki, for being here with us today.
No problem.
Sincerely appreciate you taking the time just to share your life and share your journey with us. We do know that someone listening or someone watching will be able to get something from it here today. So once again, we say thank you, thank you, thank you.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Thank you
Sure.
for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. We hope that you're encouraged and inspired to do what it takes to ensure that you reign on your journey. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, be blessed.